Hello, everybody. Welcome tonight to Hot for History, where tonight we're going to discuss whether or not Prince Harry is ready for a comeback. With all that's been going on with the royal family, with royal family news, with royal family gossip, Meghan and Harry, and all of the drama this week, the Heart of Invictus trailer was dropped. Netflix announced the date of the docuseries to start on August 30th, and the actual 2023 Invictus Games will be September 9th. So there's a 5-part docuseries with Harry, and this is really honestly Prince Harry's sweet spot. So we are going to discuss whether or not this is going to be a comeback and a little more about, hey, what's going on with Prince Harry and the royal family, but specifically, could this be the comeback that they're all waiting for? So guys, I am Deanna here from Hot for History. Please do subscribe. I thank you for watching. We discuss, with a lot of the shorts that I do, sort of quirky history that your history teachers would never teach you, but we do talk about the royal family and royal family gossip, especially since we have a new king. Let me know where you're from. I see that you're from Florida. I have people from Las Vegas, from across the pond, and tonight we are going to discuss Prince Harry and this Netflix docuseries. But first, I sort of wanted to mention that we had recently heard about Prince Harry kind of being stripped of his HRH, at least his Royal Highness and Meghan, from the website for the royal family. And it's been a long time coming because they haven't been working royals for a long time. But so just when we're hearing that he's diving and he's tanking more, because we did hear that the polls out in the UK are like, none of us want him even in the line of succession. There's like over 52% that are like, oh, we don't want him to be king ever. And then 27% that are like, I don't even care. So it's sort of like he's still bad. The people in the UK don't like him. And then there's a very blasé attitude toward him in America based on what's going on. So guys, we're going to talk about this in a second. I missed you guys too. I have been really in the midst of a lot with my family. We had a big festival here in the Midwest, the Corn Festival, as well as having my dad's memorial. He passed away last year at this time, and we just had a memorial, and then I'm traveling back to Florida. So I didn't think I could come back on here tonight. I thought I was going to have to wait another 4 or 5 days until Monday. I will get back on my regular schedule, probably starting on the 21st. So welcome. Hey, Stephen. It's good to see you guys. Okay, so we are going to talk about this. So Harry, number one, very awkward, very, very awkward. He was, he was in Singapore, and he also went to Singapore and Japan for this polo match. And he didn't have the royal treatment. Like, he wasn't, sort of corralled around to where he needed to go as a VIP. And Meghan wasn't there to ooh and ah over him. And apparently he looked extremely awkward. He was very uncomfortable, didn't look, like his regular self. Like, where do I go? Usually if you're a royal, it's a whole different thing. So he was just sort of as a regular guy there. And then, of course, right before that, there was the big news that, oh my goodness, they don't have the HRH status anymore on the royal website. So that was very dramatic. And then, bam, what happened? Now the release of the Invictus documentary, which is called The Heart of Invictus. So this could be a very big deal for Harry, and I want you guys to let me know your thoughts about this. Do you think that this docuseries is going to be the thing that sort of brings him back into the fold? I personally think that they should have focused on his humanitarian, efforts. And honestly, one of the best things that Harry has ever done, besides maybe having his kids, has been this Invictus these Invictus games, because they're amazing. They have veterans who have been wounded and have these sports events. And I think that Netflix is probably going to have a really good run with this. And I think that if Harry and Meghan had started with this and not made their entire brand about really dishing on the royal family and spreading those secrets, it would have been fine. What do you guys think? So this is going to be released in 5 parts. I do have I do have a little bit of commentary from somebody, this journalist in Australia that I really liked. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But for the people who were watching the trailer and they were waiting for it to kind of come out, one of the things that they notice is when they go to look at the trailer, they're being recommended to the Megan suits, so it looks like Netflix is trying to get the money back they're trying to get back, as much as they can before they kind of dump them, because I think that they will eventually. I think their contract will be over, but apparently they're producing a romantic comedy also that that has something to do with a woman who lost her mother to a car accident, which is some parallels to Harry. So that's interesting. And then also, anyhow, they were trying to promote Suits. And then also when they just released this documentary trailer, Netflix put it on and then they took it off. So I don't know if they needed an edit before they officially released it, but they put it on, they took it off, then they put it on again. So it was kind of interesting in a way that they did that, because everybody was like, wait, why is this on here? And now it's not. So let me read something. I'm going to read, I'll take some questions, guys. Do you have any questions, any comments? Do you guys think, oh yeah, okay, here we go. This is what I live for. I live for the interruption. Sorry. Okay. So the Worldwide Privacy Tour, we are tired of Invictus. We know all about it. Boring. Okay. What about the stress sticker? Okay. So apparently, Megan was seen with these little stress stickers that she's probably, like getting paid for, right? I don't know, Stephen. I think that Meghan Markle being seen promoting, just kind of naturally like, oh, look at my stress sticker. I think it was probably a paid endorsement, but could it have been that she's really stressed out? That everybody's like, she looked thinner. But I don't know. I don't know if she's trying to say, I'm so stressed, or if she's trying to promote that. So I don't know. I'm not sure if it was, I feel like everything that they do is something that they do and they manipulate and they figure it out. Like they're not just releasing whatever, right? So I think it was planned, Stephen. I think it was planned. Okay. So this is what this woman said. Let me see. Are there any more questions that we have? So yeah, the stress sticker was like, and now they're saying that they're going to make some other kind of appearance together after the Worldwide Privacy Tour and the catastrophic car chase in New York. They really sound like they're more like Fast and the Furious, So anyhow, there's this article that this woman wrote. Her name, it's from the news.com. Her name is Danielle Elser. And she says, let's get one thing straight. The Invictus games are great. Okay. So she's kind of leads with that. Yes. She's always playing the victim. I know. So it sort of seems like, okay, Megan's like, hey, look at me. I'm stressed. Like, because even just the way she was kind of holding her arm. Hello, 80 degrees with a coat. Exactly. Like, what the heck? She's out there. It's 80 degrees. Let me wear the coat, but let me slip up this little thing so you can see it, because, we want you to see our bracelet. So anyhow, the Invictus games are incredible. Whether or not it will have this wide appeal. We do know that there's all the sports stuff that does seem like, I just watched, it's called The Deep Breath. Oh my gosh. It's fantastic. So there's all these like sports things that are going on. My cousin's Tour de France thing that they did. So Netflix is doing these stories sort of behind the athletes, right? And they tend to do really, really well. So I think it'll do great. Yes, I think personally, I think it's a little too late. I think that Harry should have kind of stayed in some more heartfelt stories. And also a lot of critics, meaning fans like us, are basically saying we're tired of having Harry and Meghan in the center of like everything that they produce. Why do we need to see their faces and their profiles when they're doing a documentary about the Invictus games? We shouldn't have to see them. So, that's what people are saying. Okay. So Jenny is saying Meghan is setting Harry up and he's too stupid to know. Girl, Exactly. I do believe that. Okay. Do you like Babyface? Yes, I do like Babyface. I like the old classic, like, R&B and rap guys. Very limited appeal in general. It is true. I don't know if there'll be a huge appeal to it, but we'll see. I mean, they're trying to get something out of their investment, I think, right? So let me see what this woman is saying. Okay, is this going to be, is the heart of Invictus going to be? She says it's time to get out the rosary beads, the rabbit's foot, and dig out one's solid gold 4-leaf clover. So he's trying to think, okay, is this going to be a comeback? Is this going to be exciting? Am I going to be able to have everybody erase what has gone on in the past 2 or 3 years with this Invictus game? Netflix is probably like, come on, we need to make some kind of money back, because I don't know if the romantic comedies are going to do it. I know that we had to cut all kinds of things that they said they were going to produce. So I'm not sure. Do the athletes get any of the profits, or will it go to H&M? You know what, Jenny? I didn't really research that, but I do think that there's some kind of prize money. And I do think that hopefully there's some money going back to them, because, they need it, right? So this says the Sussexes in only 3 and a bit years might have acquired more toilets than God, meaning that she's talking about their mansion. It's like, do they need, like, I don't know, 20 toilets, 15 toilets, or whatever? And more people covers than the Kardashians' industrial complex. But in the U.S., respect and widespread support for the Sussexes remains at an elusive quarry, and which is absolutely true. Consider the fact that it made news this year when the popularity ratings tipped back over into net positive territory. So abysmal had they been post Harry and Meghan and Spare, or that, according to Gallup, Prince William is the most liked public figure in the United States. Interesting. The fault here rests with the Duke and Duchess, who turned excavating emotional hurts and family squabbles into a small-scale industry at the expense of building a truly innovative, meaningful charity powerhouse that was their primary focus, right? So this is what they were focusing on. Let me see what very limited appeal. Okay, no way. More is coming from King. Nutmeg hasn't been in the UK for a year. So you think we're going to hear some more things about Meghan and the King, and, like, what's going on with them? I feel like some of the divorce rumors have sort of, like, softened in the past week or so, because they were so at a fever pitch, the first week of August. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the kind of like the patterns do. So meanwhile, as the Duke and Duchess waged the PR battle against the royal family, they were squandering the peak cultural momentum that had been riding high for them in 2020, which leads us here. Okay, so this woman is writing a really interesting article. She says, with Harry and Meghan occupying deeply charged, complicated positions in the U.S. public landscape, better known as the history book-worthy family failing out than anything meaningful they have done themselves. So enter the heart of Invictus. Okay, so the heart of Invictus, August 30th. I'm sure we're all going to be watching it just out of curiosity. I'm going to watch it. The trailer is very heartfelt. The stories behind these people, honestly, in my opinion, if Harry just did podcasts with sort of the profiles of some of these athletes and their stories, if he wrote a book of all of their stories, like, it would have been so great for him. It probably would have been tacky if he had done it for profit, right? So maybe that's why he didn't lead with it. But if he had done that, it would have been really great. So, and it says, so the limited series is Harry's best. And then she says, and only bet to park that all to remind the world that years before he was telling us about Todgers, broken dog bowls, and his arch nemesis, Prince William, he had actually achieved something, she says, unimpeachably great, because it was a great thing. Okay. And so what heart constitutes is the 38-year-old's last ditch opportunity to firmly remake his image into one of a diehard, dedicated humanitarian, and not the view of him as a whiny. I love that because I usually don't use this phrase, but I love when the British say whinging. Like, that's my new favorite word. Anyhow, whiny, overprivileged boy who spent the final years of his grandmother's life laying into his family, and heart of Invictus may very well end up being the channel change and the reset that Harry needs oh so bloody badly right now. It is made by the Oscar winning combo of director Orlando von Isedel and producer Joanna Nada Segara, and the trailer is deeply moving and beautifully shot. Okay, so I have more to read about it, but I want to see what you guys are saying. Okay, Stephen. Okay, yes, children will be next. Harry likely will lose right to secession. U.S. visa deal pending. Still a rocky relationship. They are toast. Yeah, and that's why, like, when she's saying, okay, this is his last ditch effort, I don't think it's, look, I tell my kids this all the time. All the time. Yes, we love you unconditionally, but we have to be careful when we love people not to do something that is so hurtful that it takes tons of counseling, years to get back on track. Like, trust is everything, right? Nobody in that royal family is going to trust him anymore. Okay, so he needs to leave his wife at home. Yeah, and so that's the thing. Also, that's a really good point, is that he actually, I always have thought that he, as long as he's not whining, which that's all we're hearing lately, but he actually has this natural charisma. That's why everybody liked him the best in the beginning. He was always the favorite prince. He was at one point, till we really got to know him more and knew about his entitlement and his lack of intelligence in some areas. Sorry, I just had to say that. But yeah, he should leave her at home, because I feel like he might look a little bit better in this particular case. But so then it says, but there's two sticking points here. Spare and Harry and Meghan is another instance of a one-off successful outing. So in other words, they did have some one-off successful outings. But when the Sussexes arrived in the US in 2020, he had ready-made charity fodder, perfect for the glossy Netflix treatment, which is to say he never had to go out and find an actual idea to come up with some fresh subject matter himself. Yeah, because all they did was like, they got whingy. However, after Heart of Invictus, he will have to do exactly that. She's saying he's gonna have to still go back and start, talking about the stuff. If he wants to keep making these documentaries. But does he have the producing chops or creative things to do a great project? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I feel like they have opportunities to really bring great teams together whenever they can, but they don't. They don't listen to their experts that they bring together, right? And then they all quit. They're like, sorry, like, I'm not doing this because this is gonna be bad, right? So this is the man who had the spiffo idea of interviewing Mr. Murder Vladimir Putin and Mr. Coup Donald Trump about their childhood hurts. So that is true. Like, does Harry have any great ideas? Invictus Games, woo, give him a high five for that. That was a good idea, but you can only milk that so much. And with another $150 million or whatever his deal from Netflix, is that going to work? Okay, when is Africa? Was that just PR? They say that he's filming it, but I don't know. It could just be PR. I love the Todgerisms. Okay. Leaving his wife doesn't show strength. Oh, I'm almost afraid to post this. Okay. It shows weakness in his relationship, his family, and his manhood. Couples are supposed to be a strength. Yeah. In other words, he didn't really, I personally think, had Meghan been somebody who could have really supported Harry and his strengths and his family, they would have been much better off today. They really would have. Like, she should have shown a little bit more support. Show up at the coronation, right? Maybe if you wanted to leave the country, still maintain your ties to the royal family so that you can go to the Christmas things. When the Queen was alive, show up at the Christmas events with your children. Get your kids in the picture with the Queen and all of her other great-grandchildren. And so at the end of the day, do you think that was Harry's idea, just to stay away from grandma? Or it's like whatever he starts to hear, it becomes his own thoughts, supposedly, and then that's what's happening. And I don't want to blame Meghan for all of this, because he needed to grow a pair of Todgers. Sorry. So imagine if back in 2013 it had been Captain Harry Wales who had wanted to get this sort of event off the ground. Imagine the red tape he would have had to wade through, the unanswered messages, the ignored emails, and the scrabble for funding and commercial support. In other words, she is saying the very reason why the Invictus Games exist, the very reason they exist is because of the royal family. He could not have gotten this off the ground. It would have not have happened where it's just like, hey, like his presence in the beginning as Prince Harry was the thing that got the resources and everything going. So the irony here is like, okay, here's my last chance to kind of be successful outside of the royal family. And yet it was the royal family who basically made this happen in the first place. So Prince Harry, the fourth in line to the throne back then, he had the resources, support staff, and the door opening power to make this happen, to take it from a powerful idea to an incredibly impressive reality in only a year. He did it very fast. Every single account of what time makes clear how hard Harry worked. Okay, he worked hard once. But would Coldplay have penned an anthem? Would there have been, this is so good. I feel like this is so good. Would there have been a Red Arrows fly past? Would then British Prime Minister David Cameron have returned from Scotland to attend it? Would the opening be covered by every national UK newspaper, TV station? And would former US lady Michelle Obama have recorded a message if it was anyone but a member of the royal family? I mean, she makes such a great point. The games are a testament to what a man with a title, an ancient institution, and unbeatable, unparalleled pulling power behind him can achieve. Oh, where do you see the marriage going? Okay, so let's take a little break. Let me look at your other comment first. Okay, for a couple that couldn't keep hands off of each other, was that fake? The relationship really has gone south. I think that it wasn't fake. Well, let me put it this way. I think that she knew that she needed to cling to him like that, and that he loved every minute of it. He did. He loved every minute, and he thought it was genuine, and he liked, look, he already had all these wounds, and she knew it, and she was kind of playing on it, like, oh, your family has hurt you, like with your dad and all that. So she played it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really do think that that was the case, but it's not all about her, because he also could have, like I said, about growing up hair. I know what, okay. What would you do for them? Give me 2 months, once a week. The world would be in awe. I bet, because I think the couples counseling would have been great prior to them getting married, and then maybe like getting it together. So anyhow, and then so she says, we go into today's big media existential question. Now that he's no longer part of the crown, now that Harry can no longer wheel out his HRH or have the prime minister return his call, can or will Montecito's most famous ratepayer ever achieve something as meaningful and life-changing for so many people as the games? In other words, it's great that he's going to have the Invictus Games. Well, of course, I'm reading through, in between the lines, but it's great that the Invictus Games is here. But without his authority and without the, just sort of the polish of that royal institution behind him, will he be able to now do anything creative? As she says, I mean, he was considering like interviewing. I mean, let's talk about, your hurts, to like world leaders. No, I don't think so. So, yeah. So is anybody surprised by that? It's surprised it is falling apart, though? I don't think so. I don't think they were surprised. We're just still confused because we don't really know. Like, there's what you hear, there's what people are speculating, and then there's what's real. Okay, classic. Harry interviewing Putin about his childhood. Please, Harry, try. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah, he'd probably take the cocktail too. Okay. So here's the now she's talking about Meghan. So Meghan, who in her 20-month stint as a royal launched a fundraising clothing line for SmartWorks, helped put out a charity cookbook, and gave one of the best speeches in modern royal history, ? I am here with you as a mother, as a wife, as a woman of color, and as your sister. I am here with you. I'm here for you. This is the challenge the Duke and Duchess face in the next several months. In other words, for a comeback, because I titled this The Comeback. they have to keep finding ways to bring in plenty of cashola. They've got to figure it out. And yet they haven't really been known for being creative or exceptional. And now they're becoming these big producers in Hollywood. And yet the only thing that can get any kind of a boost is when they talk about the royal family still. So then she says, for now there's one person who has a huge job ahead of them, the Duchess stylist. Someone is going to need a hell of a dress for next year's Golden Globes and for the Emmys. So she thinks that maybe he's going to win something, like Harry's going to win something for the Invictus Games. She thinks that. Okay. Okay. So Harry, so let's see this. I am amazed that her father hasn't seen the grandchildren. It's so sad. All he did for that brat, just because he set up a Pop, getting fitted with a suit. She does this on the regular. Absolutely. Okay. So I'm right about the counseling prior to nuptials, but we have to work with what we have. That's true. They were both sheltered as youths in separate sides of the pond. Yeah. And I think, of course, I'm not a counselor. I just like to pretend that I am one. But I've said this many times that it was like the perfect storm for them to come together, because he was so lost and like, I don't think that he had ever processed really his mother's hurt and pain. And I don't think the royal family gave him that space to do that. And I think that Meghan was like all ears and like, well, you don't have to be a royal. You can get the heck out of here. Simultaneously, she didn't have the real tolerance. And I don't think that she really went into that marriage thinking that she was going to stay. And I don't know if they had that conversation before. In other words, my questions are, did you talk about your exit strategy even as you were getting married? Because you got married really fast, according to William and Harry. They're like, and King Charles, they're like, no, this is so fast. And even if you look at the Queen's expressions, she's like, she wasn't totally happy about it. It didn't look like it to me. So, but I do think that he was okay. Here, let me put your post up. Okay. I feel like everything that he said in his book and all that, great. He should have been journaling it. He should have been getting it out of his system. He should have been processing it. But isn't there something to be said about the certain maturity about being able to not make it public? In other words, process it, take a minute. Don't be using the very thing that you say you hate. You hate the media. The media is the cause for all of your pain, and yet let me use it. It's like his codependence and his dysfunction with media in general is showing. And so it was just kind of a hot mess. So will this be a comeback? That's the big question. Will this be a comeback? I mean, we're not even talking about, Meghan right now, but will this be a comeback for him? I think that he'll get a little bit of a boost, but I don't think people forget easily, especially when it comes to the royal family. And I think he's going to have a rude awakening when he doesn't have Meghan, if that happens, and when he doesn't have his royal backing. I thought what this woman said in this article was brilliant, that, the very reason why he has the Invictus Games was because of them. He had the support, like who's going to be on the screen now? Like they may be for the Invictus Games, but Harry can't call in a lot of favors because a lot of people are like, no, thank you, because I want to be on the good side of William and the king, not yours. And that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. So don't forget, what are your thoughts on where the marriage is going? Okay, so my opinion is that it's destined to just crash based on everything I see, but you never know. You never know. But I do not think that, I don't think it's going to last. I think that she's getting some out of it, what she wants. I don't think it's going to last. And personally, I think the one that is going to be struggling the most with it is not Meghan. I think Harry will be totally lost. And then I already think that some of the victims are the kids. I think that it's, tough. Okay. So I think the royal family felt that she was sketchy, American, actress, divorced. Each one by itself would be okay, but together it's a huge red flag for them. Yeah. And then they also thought that they were moving too fast. Like they really kind of moved really, really fast. And so I think they wanted more time. and yet it didn't happen. And so, but yeah, they thought it was, sketchy, but I think they tried to the best of their ability. But honestly, there's a certain amount of humbling and humility that you need to kind of step into that. Like, even though she actually fell into it pretty well. Like, she was able to do those walkabouts really great because of her performance background. But you need to humble yourself to learn the entire thing and be willing to step behind Kate. Be willing to kind of be the support and understand your place in the line and be okay with that. You have to, not let your ego and you sort of like this narcissism rule you, right? So to me, let me see what we have to say. Because, Sir Vegas, I'm really just constantly calling you constipated. Okay, to me, being a father is the most important thing for a child, is having a great relationship with grandparents. I know kids these days don't know who and what they are. Wisdom is so undervalued. Those are the sound bites for the night. These children have lost out so much on their grandparents, both sides. I personally think Thomas Markle in many ways is a genius. I love to hear him talk. I love to hear his perspective. Even Samantha, in her bluntness, she is crystal clear, in calling Megan out, but like so smart. And he's a brilliant guy. And then the king. And so not having your grandparents, and especially when you only have them for a little time, I still reminisce about my grandparents. I got to spend a lot of time with them. But, there's some people in my life that I only had as a kid. And I still remember them fondly because of those moments. Megan will divorce him. Harry will end up living in Africa. It will take a while for the UK to forgive him. Yes. Okay. So yes, putting the royal family first is not a very American trait, I think. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, to settle into that type of life, like, he had many girlfriends who were like perfect for that type of royal, like living like they were aristocrats and all that, but they didn't want it. Like, they did not want it. They were like, no, I'll have more freedom. Like, Chelsea Davy has a lot of money, is doing great, and then some of his other girlfriends, they're doing fine. They still get to live a posh lifestyle, but they have their freedom and they don't have the press on them the whole time, right? I have to watch this. I do have to watch this. Okay, I'm going to watch it. All right, so guys, I am going to call it a night. Yes, thank you for coming back on. I'm sorry that I have been AWOL, but I had 30 people coming in and out of my house and even more. And then, like, it was so fun. And I've been out of town, and then it's hard to go live when there's people running all over the house, right? So I will be back most likely Monday night. And we will be back on the regular from there. I'll do like 2 or 3 of these a week. I appreciate you guys. I am so curious to hear whether or not this is going to be a comeback for Harry. I think he might get a little bit of a boost. But like this woman said, it's just one thing. They're going to have to be able to show their genius, which they've been awful with. They've been failing on this in a much better and a much faster way because people are getting really tired of them. So let's also see what happens with this appearance that they're going to have. They're in Australia. Maybe the real king. I've heard that too. I'm not, but yeah, it's a theory that maybe he's not really even the real one. Okay. All right. So I will talk to you guys later. Please subscribe, and we will see you soon next Monday.